everybody, welcome to the United Stand and welcome to 2024. Happy New Year. We're here to talk about big news in relation to Raphael Varane, but Happy New Year and welcome to 2024 on the United Stand. Here's to a big one. I hope you're feeling well. I had a big one last night. Not in that way. And if you like a big one, that's up to you. But I didn't take anything other than drink, of which I had quite a lot. But I'm not feeling too bad. I wish you all a prosperous and happy new year. Leave the bitterness behind and be better in 2024. Let's see how long we can keep that up. But look, what we won't leave behind is Manchester United. And what we won't leave behind is Manchester United's inability to operate in the transfer market. And this new news coming out, I saw it last night, that Varane can leave. What's the truth around this? Because there was a story yesterday that Manchester United are going to let Raphael Varane leave. Remember, there's this story that Ten Hag wants to give Johnny Evans a new contract at 35. He wants to give he's going to give Victor Lindelof another year, but United don't want to give Varane another year. It sounds like a joke, and I've got to say I'm sort of conflicted on this one. We have left a poll on the community tab, which we'll go to in a minute. Happy New Year, Mark, says Mikhail, one of our members for 46 months. Get the badge in. Like Ahmad, who is also a member, he says, say happy birthday to Mohammed. He's my son. Happy birthday to Mohammed, Ahmed. And I hope you're having a great day. And another member, Eddie Johnson, says, Evans has been better signing than Varane. You are talking out your arse, Eddie. Are you still drunk from New Year's Eve? Johnny Evans has done a decent job, but come on. The sentimentality around Johnny Evans is hilarious. We can't play a high line with Johnny because he's too slow. We're playing on the edge of our box. This is not progressive. I like Johnny Evans. He's done a good job for us. He's surprised me, but come on. You know, this is why I'm conflicted. Let's talk about Varane. So what's basically been said is that yesterday an article came out in the Mail saying that Man United have decided not to use the option to extend Varane's deal. Varane has the option of an extra year, Man United have, so we can extend it into next season. We've done it with Lindelof. We'll probably do it with Wan-Bissaka. We've not done it with Varane, which means Varane is free in January to talk to clubs to go on a free in the summer. Man United then have had rumours have come out that United are willing to offer him another year on reduced wages. This is another David De Gea scenario. This is another up yours when dealing with a player that deserves more respect. Manchester United worry me here. And I heard what Gary Neville said about it was worrying him that Man United were looking to give new contracts to people like Lindelof and Varane. That's not progressive. And this is where I'm sort of conflicted, because part of me is like, Happy New Year, Mark, Krish, thank you very much. Space says, Mark, I completely agree with you about letting go of players who put their ego above the club, but that sadly is the case with Ten Hag as well now, says Space. Look, specifically on Varane, and Donny van der Beek's left today, and we've got a bit of news on Tobido as well. Specifically on Varane, I'm conflicted because I like Varane. He's our best centre-back by a long way. Happy New Year to Ashton as well. But the issue we've got with Varane is he can't play 3 games a week. And we do need consistency in this football club. So Varane can't provide consistency. Although, to be fair, over the last season and this season, he's played a hell of a lot more under Ten Hag. So it's a bit of a myth that Varane doesn't play very often because he played a lot of football last year. It was Martinez who's actually been injured more than Varane. So, you know, but the older he gets, the more impact on his body. But he has retired from French football. So I do think it's a bit of a myth around Varane and his injury record. But he's on really good money. It's like 300 grand a week, apparently. Which we've never really heard of before, but that getting leaked makes me believe that this is just... And this is where I'm conflicted. On the one hand, I can look at it and go, right, maybe there's some common sense for moving Varane on because of his age and potential injuries and you want to move forward. That's absolutely fine if you're Man City or you're Liverpool, where Klopp and Pep look at Varane and go, look, there's a really good centre-back that plays in France, or there's a really good centre-back, you know, who's coming through, who's going to be a real world superstar. I want to transition. But I don't think United are doing that. I don't think United are thinking about getting rid of Varane because of his age or his injuries or anything like that. I think Man United are looking to get rid of Varane because of his wage, not his age. This is wage, not age to me, because I think that what Manchester United are looking to do here is cut costs And that is something that really does conflict me. I don't mind having the conversation about whether we should keep Varane beyond the summer because of his age and injury record. I personally would for another year because he's our best centre-back. But I do not agree with getting rid of players just because you need to save costs. And I think this stinks of saving costs. The Manchester Evening News said that this morning. They've said that Varane feels he's being forced out. He's being forced out because of his wage. That's how he feels. He feels that he is a player like De Gea that they can get rid of because he's out of contract, basically. So it's sort of like, you're out of contract, you can go. Anthony Martial, you're out of contract. This is not progressive for Manchester United. This is cost-cutting. We've seen the impact of removing De Gea and bringing Onana in. I'm not going to go down that road. But you remove Varane and you remove your best centre-back to save 300 grand a week. And actually, when you look at what Ten Hag has done on the wage front since he's been here, some people would say he's just a Glazer puppet. You know, the Ronaldo wage gone. Sancho's wage is going. De Gea's wage gone. Varane's wage gone. Who's next? Casemiro. But the problem with this is most of those players, they're not Scott McTominay. You know, they're not Harry Maguire. They're not Wan-Bissaka. They're not Malacia, or you know, they're not players that you might want to get rid of. These are players that really you shouldn't be getting rid of. So I'm conflicted on this. Happy New Year, Gino. Thank you very much. I am conflicted on this because I feel that if this had grounding in we're going to remove Varane and we're going to bring in a really good centre-back who's 22, 23, okay. But I think we need a centre-back and keeping Varane. And that's my issue with this. And I think it stinks of an opportunity of removing somebody, and it also stinks again of treating players badly. You can't do this. I don't know why Man United think they can do this. You can't do this. A lot of United's problems this season are because of how De Gea was treated in the summer. A lot of those players in that dressing room were mates with David De Gea, and they saw how the club treated him. That's not a good management style. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not a good management style to manage people who get on and then treat somebody who works there like shit without explaining it or anything like that. And I think that this, again, will cause more issues because if I can see it, the dressing room can see it. United are just looking to get rid of Varane because of his wage. And also, even if you're not mates with Varane, if you're in that dressing room and you see De Gea go and Onana come in, and you see Ronaldo go and Weghorst come in, and you see Varane go and you play Maguire or Lindelof, in your head you're like, what's the direction of this football club then? Because all I've seen over the last year is quality go because of their wage to save money. And that can have a really damaging effect on the dressing room as well. To not even get a fee for him is staggering, says Joe. Well, I just wonder, Joe, if this is leaning towards a bit of spin, actually. I wonder if this is a little bit of spin. Forcing Varane out in January so that we can get a fee for him from Saudi Arabia. I'm just wondering if that. Maybe it's the open heart surgery Ralph Rangnick suggested, says Liverpool 32 Red, but it's not. And this is where I'm conflicted. If it was open heart surgery, we'd all be on board with that. But letting Varane go is not open heart surgery. He's out of contract in the summer. You know, this is not good. This is not open heart surgery. This is like putting a plaster on because there's nothing open. There's nothing technical about letting Varane go. You just don't renew his contract. It's easy. And is it coincidental that we let the player go whose contract's up? That's not open heart surgery. Open heart surgery is selling Bruno. Open heart surgery is selling Rashford. That's technically very, very advanced. And I'm not saying I'm selling those players, but letting Varane go is easy. That's not open heart surgery. Like, open heart surgery has to be more than that. I think that that's the case, Mark, about the wages. Rashford should first go, says Barry. Look, I've not given up on Rashford yet. I think he's had a lot of stick. I haven't given up on him. I haven't given up on Bruno, but they are two players that I've spent a lot of time thinking about over the weekend. And I think both of them, reluctantly, have to be considered to be sold. And I don't think that's as sensational as some people think. And I hope they prove us wrong. But I was thinking about this over the weekend, and I'm more than happy to have this debate. It's not an agenda. It's not hate. In fact, it's more impactful for me to say this than saying something about McTominay or somebody else. because I really do like Bruno, and for many years I really liked Rashford. He was one of my favourite players. But where I am with both players at the moment is I'm sort of confused, and it's not me. Why should I shoulder the blame of saying I'd consider selling Bruno and Rashford? Why should I shoulder the blame of that? I don't shoulder the blame of it. All I want to do is support them and say that they should be at the club for life. But I'd throw it back to them and say, but you're forcing me to think like this because this club is shit. And you've been at it for years. Why are you so inconsistent at Manchester United? I throw it back to you. Tell us. Why is it that you are so bad this season? Both of them. And look, people say Bruno's not bad. I know how good Bruno is. He's nowhere near the level he should be. And neither is Marcus Rashford. So, I sit there now with change coming, and we talk about open heart surgery. I would go... If I could have a chat with Sir David Brailsford, I'd say, why aren't you considering selling Luke Shaw or Bruno Fernandes or Marcus Rashford? And Sir David would probably say, but you like those players, don't you? And I said, yeah, well, I do. But they have been here for 5 or 6 years. Not all of them. And we've been inconsistent in that time. So if we are rebuilding something new, should we not be considering removing the players that have been here for a while? If it's a new start... Surely you want a new dressing room. I don't think United will do that. And I think that's what open heart surgery is clearing house. I don't think we're going to do that. I really don't. Barry says, thank you. Kawi says he's been grounded by his mum for tickling my brother's feet. Okay. And he's not even been born yet. That's disgusting. Controversial, but Varane may be our best centre-back, but he's still not been good enough. He's hardly been incredible. Says a lot about how bad we are, says Jim Jam. Carlos says game over. Sylvester, thank you very much for your chat. JHP, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining and backing the channel. You get your badge in as well. Your badge in the chat. Happy New Year, Mark. May we overcome, says Spencer. Happy New Year, says Gino. Ashton as well. And there was a super chat here I wanted to read. Daniel C, thank you very much. Tony says the players are choosing to get rid of can and will continue to have an impact on the dressing room and play on the field. Daniel, welcome to the Members Club. Open Heart is building around Diallo, Garnacho and Mainu, says Joe Wright. And Rasmus as well. I think those sort of players, definitely. But let me just go to the community tab. We've done this poll before, so there's no point replicating it, but we put it on the community tab. Would you renew Varane's contract? We've had nearly 8,000 votes on the community tab. 71% of you would give Varane a new contract. 29% of you wouldn't, which is probably a little bit higher than I thought. Look, I am conflicted here because my fear is this is cost cutting, in which case I'm dead against it. I think United, we could be spun here as a fan base where United raise some money by selling good players like Varane and Casemiro. That's not progressive. It's subtle PR. It's get money in for easy players to sell. That's not open heart surgery. That's easy work. That's my concern. On the other hand, I also have to live in a little bit of hope that maybe this is open heart surgery. But look, I've said it before. I said this, I think it was the first summer Ten Hag came in, or maybe it was last summer. I just vaguely remember saying, I don't know who you'd do it to, but I'd love to see United sell a player that just makes everybody's jaw drop to the floor. I'd love to see United just sell a player that everyone thinks is unsellable. And I don't need to name anybody there because then you're individualising it, aren't you? But I would love to see Man United just sell someone that we don't expect. And really send a statement out that this is a new Manchester United. Because I'm scared, I'll be honest with you, as we go into 2024, I'm scared that this whole Sir Jim review is just papering the cracks. What we'll really do is get rid of Varane because he's on a big contract, get rid of Martial because his contract's going to run out, get rid of Casemiro because he's on a big... And that's not open heart surgery. That's just fuck it. That's an open goal. Those three are an open goal to get rid of because people will pay for Varane and Casemiro and Martial's contract's running out. And oh, look, surprise, surprise, we've just saved £1 million a week in wages. That's 52 million quid. That's my concern about this, is that it's a bit of a smokescreen. On the other hand, I do live in hope, and we can evidence it. Let's see if it happens, that there is, genuine appetite for change. But I'll say this at the start of 24 and we'll see if it ever happens. It's quite apt for the 1st of January. Do you think Manchester United have got the balls to sell a player that's going to shock us? And what would that player be? Look, I'll name a few that would shock me. Wan-Bissaka, if we sold him. Harry Maguire, if we sold him. Lindelof, if we sold him. Luke Shaw, if we sold him. McTominay, if we sold him. Eriksen, Bruno, Rashford. I've said Luke Shaw. So yeah, there's about 8 players that I would be shocked if we actually did sell. But if you want to be doing open heart surgery, all of those players are difficult to sell because they're all under contract. They're not coming towards the end of their contract. So let's see if United really are going to do open heart surgery. Because the fact that Mourinho basically wanted to sell Luke Shaw and probably Martial, maybe even Rashford from what he said. I don't think it was Rashford, but you know, when he first came in, I'd love to know what Rangnick's open heart surgery list was as well. But we should have learnt this information before. Odds on Man City to win the treble again, says Coop. Stop trying to depress me in the new year. I'm not interested in Man City. Wayne, welcome to the Members Club. Get your badge in. Thank you very much for supporting the channel this year. They should offer him a contract at 150k a week and let him decide to sport. Well, look, just before we move on, apparently that's what's been done. But this is a guy on 300 grand a week that they're willing to offer him probably 150 grand a week. But you know what? Is that not PR as well? We have offered him a contract to stay, but we might be offering him something humiliating. And also, Varane can go... Look, call me a cynic, call me a genius. Personally, I think this is potentially PR to make the club look good and force Varane to Saudi. So they can say, we offered him in a contract, but he wanted to go to Saudi. And I think it might be quite clever from United to make themselves look good in front of the fans when actually they want rid. So you go, we're not going to give you the new contract, but we'll give you 150 grand a week, knowing Saudi Arabia are offering him 400k a week. So, and then they get a fee. It might be just something like that. And also, what I will say is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to be a lot better at doing business than the Glazers ever were. So he will know. He might well be there behind it, saying, look, offer him 150 grand a week. We know Saudi Arabia is going to offer him 400k a week. I'll be stunned if he doesn't go. And then we'll get a transfer fee as well. We save the wages and we get a transfer fee. And in some ways, I don't have a huge problem with it if we do it to a load of other people as well. But, that's the thing. You don't just like the fact that United want rid of some of your favourites who are old and contribute very little. Varane's let bucket loads in, says Red Army. Harry Maguire's back in the chat. That's Harry Maguire, that is Red Army. I don't think it is Harry Maguire, but it's certainly part of the Harry Maguire fan club. I don't know what you're having a pop at, mate. Harry's had a lot of praise over this season, and I think Varane's our best centre back. I don't know why you're making it about Player FC. Actually, I'm going to resist this Player FC shit this year. Nina Jones, thanks very much. Welcome to the Members Club. Get your badge in. Look, one potential replacement for Varane in January is Tobido. The reason I mentioned Tobido is he's been linked with Chelsea. Had talks with Spurs a couple of weeks ago. They've fallen through. Spurs are moving for somebody else. I forget the name. Quite a good centre-back. I just forget the name. I think he plays in Italy. I can't remember his bloody name. Is he at Atalanta? I might be mixing up somewhere there. But ultimately, Chelsea are now moving in for Tobido, according to some reports this morning. People start to panic. I am not panicked by this at all because Tobido plays for Nice and Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns Nice. And if we are looking to move Varane on, then you've got to replace him. And if we can't get Tobido to come to Manchester United when Ten Hag wanted him anyway and he's owned by our partial owner, then, we've got proper problems. So look, Chelsea, I don't think Chelsea need to buy another centre-back. They've got loads of centre-backs. I'm not really worried about Tobido. Tobido might not come to Manchester United until the summer, but this has to be a deal that United are in control of. Whether we sign him or not's another matter. But I don't think this is the sort of signing where Chelsea or someone else swoop in and we miss out. I think if we miss out, we miss out consciously. Now that might be through incompetence, it might be through lack of funds, but I don't get stressed about Tobido being linked to other clubs, because I think if United want him and can afford him, we'll get him. If we don't get him, it's going to be because we can't afford him, or, you know, not because we've snoozed on the deal. We want to get rid of Martial and Varane, fair enough, but they want Shaw to stay with his awful injury record. Shocking, says Zuteng. I mean, I'm not here to talk about Luke Shaw, but I did say a few weeks ago that I am quite worried about Luke Shaw. I think that the injuries that he has started to pick up could potentially get worse in his late 20s into his 30s. So we're all very eager to talk about Varane and his injury record, but his injury record's not been that bad for the last 18 months. And look at Lindelof. Lindelof's out injured a lot. I mean, you know, I like football opinion that's balanced, as you know. And I think we talk about Varane's injury record like it's, oh, Varane's injury record's really, really bad. But if you look at Varane's injury history over the last 18 months, basically, so when would the last 18 months go to? So you're talking about an ankle sprain for 5 days in October 2022, a leg injury in October 22 for 23 days, a foot injury in April, which kept him out for a month. I remember when we had Martinez and him out. And then this season, he had an unknown injury from August until September. So, you know, that's not particularly great, but it's not, you know, it's not unheard of. Whereas if you look at someone like Victor Lindelof's injury history over the last while, he's had a back problem in August of last year, which kept him out for a month, and then he's had a groin injury that's kept him out for a month this year as well. And then Luke Shaw, I mean, it's only slightly better than Lindelof, and he's only slightly younger than him. Luke Shaw's injury history is quite interesting, actually. Since 2022, he's had so that'd be 18 months ago, wouldn't it? He had a leg injury in April 2022, which kept him out for a month. He had another unknown injury, which kept him out in April 2023. And then he's had this injury from August 23 to November 23. And he's out again at the moment, isn't he? We just don't know the detail of it. So, you know, injuries with our defenders is pretty widespread at the moment. It would be wise to have someone like Rangnick making these decisions. We need a proper structure first to make the right call, not knee-jerk reactions, says Milverton Richards. But you know what? Unfortunately, I'm sure we've all worked in business. When you walk into a business and you've got to make cuts, people go after the easy targets. And you know, Varane is an easy target. But just before we move on to Donny, there are layers to this game. Apparently, Varane feels like he's being forced out. Probably because of wages, let's be honest. But on the other hand, you've got Victor Lindelof being given another year and talk of Johnny Evans getting another year. Now, that doesn't make sense. I don't think Varane's injury history justifies getting rid of him and keeping Evans and Lindelof. I don't think this is about injury. I think this is about wages, because there's no way Victor Lindelof is anywhere near as good as Rafael Varane, and neither is Johnny Evans. So why remove Varane and keep Lindelof and Evans? Doesn't make sense, does it? However, there is a flip side to that coin. Well, Johnny Evans and Victor Lindelof would be bench centre-backs, whereas Varane would expect to start. So if you replace Varane with a starter, it could work. You know, there's I mean, and Carl says apparently Lindelof's on 120k a week. There's peaks and troughs. Jim Jones says, typical United, let good players go for nothing, then keep the duds. Our transfer record is one of the worst in Europe, if not in the world. And Son says, why don't you want me? Well, we definitely do want you, Son, and we did want Kim Min-jae. Also, we want to get rid of Martial and Varane. We've done that one from Zuteng. Any interest in Evan Ferguson of Brighton? Says Clean Teeth 1986. Well, I think there would be interest in Evan Ferguson, but he's just signed a new contract at Brighton, and I don't think Manchester United will be looking for that sort of a deal, because Brighton would want a lot of money. I suppose in some ways it's a bit like Ivan Toney, isn't it? I'm sure some of you would like Ivan Toney to come to the club, but we won't have that amount of money. So yeah, that's going to be one of the interesting things of this year as well, and this month and the summer transfer window is what money is available. Because I saw something yesterday from, was it Duncan Castles, saying that, you know, there could be 300 million available in the summer, and I'm not saying that there won't be, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe could put some money into the club, but we're still in the very early days of this deal. It's, you know, a lot of people would say, well, why would Sir Jim Ratcliffe pump £500 million into the club for the stadium and for transfers when he only owns 25% of it? Why would you do that? You're eating into your profits by pumping money into something that you don't completely own. Maybe gets more shares for doing that. So we don't really know enough about this deal yet to start, you know, predicting what's going to happen. And financial fair play is still there. Could be a really bumpy road for Manchester United to get back, and it could be a situation where we don't really have a lot of money to spend. But we've not really spoke about Ten Hag, have we? And obviously, I think, you know, Ten Hag is still under a massive amount of pressure. He's still making a lot of mistakes. If Evans gets a contract, it'll be a complete joke. He's not Thiago Silva, says Joe Wright. But I think with regards to Ten Hag, there's, I was looking at a list of replacements for Ten Hag, and somebody was mentioning they quite like De Zerbi. I like De Zerbi, but he can't play football at Man United with the players that we've got. He can't play like he does at Brighton with the players that we've got. So how does he do that? He's going to need to bring his own players in. So you're talking, you know, 200, 300, 400 million pounds for De Zerbi to bring his own players in. And then what's he going to do with Onana and Anthony and Mount and all these players that Ten Hag's only just bought, and you know, maybe even Erasmus? So I think money's a really important thing, and we always talk about the accumulation of bad signings of Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ollie, and Ten Hag. And when Ten Hag goes and another manager comes in, there's even more, because what do they do with the Ten Hag signings? So it's not. I listen to a lot, as I'm sure you do, and I read a lot. And, you know, I was listening to Talk Sport the other night, and they were like, United fans were ringing up, he's got to go now, get rid of him. And I'm like, I don't actually disagree with you. You're very passionate and you're making good, you know, constructive points. I don't necessarily agree with them, but you're making really good points. But where you fail is, do you realise the impact of sacking Ten Hag and the fact that there won't be any money there, and there won't be any money for the new manager, and there won't be any money for the new manager to buy players? And what are you going to do when the new manager comes in and agrees with you that, you know, Anthony's not very good, Onana's not very good, Mount's a waste of time? I mean, I'm imagining this is what these are sort of players that fans who want Ten Hag out want to get rid of. How do you get rid of those players? They've not been here very long. So I think you've got to look at the problems at Man United, and they are big problems. And this is why, you know, I was always against the Glazers staying and getting an investor in, because I think that what we all know needs to happen, and we always refer back to this open heart surgery. I don't think many people really were that bothered about whether it was Qatar or Apple or Elon Musk. I don't think anyone really cared who the billionaire was. I think some people who didn't want it did, because they don't like the Middle East, or they don't want to be like Man City or whatever it was about. But for me, it was never really about Qatar or Dubai or whoever else was linked to Man United from the Middle East. I'd have been as happy with Amazon. For me, it was about a billionaire owner to own all of the club, because I think that was the reset we needed. Because the volume of problems are, you know, they're not infinite, but they are multiple. And I think the only way to fix Manchester United is to basically go, where's that reset button? And reset the lot and go, nobody is safe. I'm going to sweep it all out. And, you know, it's a bit like cleaning a room full of shit. You know, get the washer out, get the disinfectant out, blast it all, get everything out. You know, so you've just got a shell left, and clean it all out and then start again. The trouble with what Sir Jim's going to do is, that room full of shit, he's just going to be sweeping it around, trying to build things, but the shit's going to be there. The club needs gutting out, completely gutting out, and starting again with a proper 3 to 5 year project. And I think that, you know, we go back to what we're talking about Varane. are we removing Varane because we're having a clear out of all the shit? Well, he's not shit. Or are we actually just trying to save a little bit of money to create a little bit of room in this corner of the room where we can start cleaning that, but the rest of it doesn't get cleaned? I just look at United and I go, I don't envy what Sir Jim's going to try and do. I don't envy what happens. Such a massive job that's why I wanted the full sale. That's why I wanted the Glazers out, because the only way forward I could see, it's a little bit like what Man City had happen with Abu Dhabi. It's a little bit like what's happened with Newcastle and Saudi Arabia. Those clubs were on their arse. I could never have seen Man City without money getting where they are. And I could never foresee Newcastle getting to where they are without the money. In fact, Newcastle were in a relegation battle. So Newcastle are where they are because somebody's come in and gone, sweep all the shit out, bring a good team in, reset. And it's working for them. It certainly happened at Man City. It happened at Blackburn Rovers with Jack Walker. So it happened with Chelsea with Abramovich. So, you know, these things do happen. I don't know what's gone wrong with my stream health here. Let me have a quick look. I don't know whether I'm still with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with my stream at this end, but let me know if you're still here. I was in a good bit of chat there. Yeah, still here. Yeah, still here. So yeah, I think that's what I would say. Really, it's we need that reset. I've always felt we need that reset. So it was never about Qatar. Qatar could have been the reset, but we needed the reset, in my opinion. And I'm not going to say that Sir Jim's not going to be successful, but I think it's the harder path to tread. It was always for me. It was like two pathways. You've got a pathway which I would have gone down, which was the full reset, and then you've got this pathway which is mysterious and overgrown. And I'm not saying we can't get through it, but it's going to be a lot harder to go down this path because the path is riddled with barriers and traps. Dizabi and Potter not good enough. Brighton has a system which reflects on the pitch. No matter the manager, he'll fail the same way Potter failed at Chelsea. Says weekend getaway. I genuinely do not see the obsession. I agree with you. I do not see the obsession with De Zerbi. I really don't. I think De Zerbi is just a hipster. The same way Ten Hag was at Ajax. And I wanted Ten Hag from Ajax, but what I've seen is that the hipster manager is not going to work at this football club because it doesn't have the structure around him. You replace Ten Hag with Hansi Flick or De Zerbi or someone like that, and I think they'll fail. Not because they're massively similar personalities or styles of football, but because they're all managers that I think need the structure around them, and we haven't got that structure, which is another reason why I wouldn't replace Ten Hag till the summer. If we're going to replace him, put the structure in first, really. It's like you know what? When I look at the manager situation, it's like you're building a house, but you haven't put the roof on, you haven't put the windows in. You know when you're driving around, you see these houses where they're building them and the walls are there and the holes for the windows are there, but there's no roof on it yet. They're just building it, and it's raining because it always rains in the UK. And you know, as you drive past that house, I would put a new manager like a bed from Dreams. You know, that house hasn't got any windows and it hasn't got a roof on it, and you've just bought the bed, and it's going to get rained on. I think if you're going to replace the manager, put the walls up, put the windows in, put the roof on, so that when you put your bed in, it goes into a structure that will protect it. And I think at the moment, if you change the manager, it's like a roof and no windows on a new bed. There is nothing to protect it from the elements. So, yes, I agree with some people that want Ten Hag to go. I personally don't, because it's about, let's get the structure in place. Let's get the CEO, the director of football. Let's have a look at all of that, so that if we do replace the manager, there's competency around him to come in and do what needs to be done. Stardog says, this is like a hard reset. Is it right? Says Stug, yeah. That's what I would have done. We'll come to know about Ineos plans and improvements in a year's time. If there is a clear out players, then we can assume it's on the right track, says Rohith. And Mark, what board game was you playing last night? It was brilliant. Check out my Instagram. It's called Outsmarted, and there's a Man United section on there. It was very, very good, Dan Davey. It's the best board game I've played in ages. Really enjoyed it, actually. Just going back to a previous comment there about we'll know more about Ineos in a year's time. I completely agree about that. I also think that this summer transfer window is going to be such a what's the word? Magnifying glass on what we are, because if we'd been bought by Qatar, the first summer transfer window would have been a real insight into what their appetite and ambition is. It's exactly the same with Sir Jim. I know he's only buying 25%, but he's taken over the football side. If we just have a normal summer transfer window this summer, I'll be sat there going, what's changed? This summer transfer window, as their first summer transfer window, has to be something different. You know, actually sell some players. Shockers. You know, go and get rid of some players and then bring in better players that you've actually researched their background and personality. I think this summer transfer window is really, really interesting. I'm not going to guarantee it'll be better than any of the other ones, but surely we need something different. I've completely forgotten, just before I go, Donny van der Beek has left Manchester United to go to Eintracht Frankfurt. Bit weird, obviously, because he's been on the bench for the last few games, but we never brought him on. I never really understood why we were putting him on the bench, really. You could argue he should have been starting ahead of people like McTominay, but obviously I think he was just there to fill up the numbers. Always going to go to Eintracht Frankfurt, and he goes. Probably never going to come back, let's be honest. I hope it goes well for him. It didn't work out at Man United. That shocked me. I remember being very excited about getting Donny, and it's just another player that just hasn't worked out for various reasons. Maybe he just wasn't good enough for the Premier League. Maybe we messed it up. I don't know, but it's certainly a player moving on where we won't recover hardly any of the outlay at all. His wages would have been pretty high, and we paid about £34 million for him. So it's another failed transfer, isn't it, financially, as well as the player itself. But I do wish him all the best. It just hasn't worked. Just hasn't worked. And Phil Mutchell says Ollie destroyed him. Yeah, well, look, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? But the January transfer window is up and open. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with it. I expect Manchester United to do some things. I think my fear is that they're laying the foundations to sell Varane this January transfer window, which to me would be a massive indicator that they're writing the season off. I mean, getting rid of Varane and not replacing him in January and getting by with Lindelof, Maguire, Evans and Martinez. I mean, that's just incredible, isn't it? But I guess we'll have to just wait and see. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Maybe you are chewing. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We are back tonight at 7 o'clock. No 8 o'clock show, 7 o'clock tonight. Not because it's New Year's Day and a bank holiday, although I could have said that, but because I'm doing Liverpool against Newcastle watch along on That's Football at 8 o'clock. So we'll be live at 7 o'clock tonight on the United Stand, a bigger show, more interactive, and I think we're going to talk more about the year ahead and what we think is going to happen, certainly what the limitations could be, and, you know, I really want to get your thoughts as well on the 7 o'clock show tonight. I'm sure I'll remember, but remind me if not. What are we as a football club now? We're Manchester United, but what do we really think is achievable? Not just over the next 12 months, but over the next 3 years. Do we really actually think United can get back to the top of English football? I'm not so sure. I'll speak to you all a little bit. Thanks for watching. Smash a like and subscribe. Welcome to the new members. We've had 5 today. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Ali, give a shout out to him. He's got get the badge in. If you're a member, you'll see your badges next to your name, which change each month. You can also still watch the Christmas show in the members section. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you a little bit later.